Hi, my name is Jonathan Roth, and welcome to Risk Hedge Video. I'm joined from Dallas, Texas by John Mauldin, the chairman of Mauldin Economics. John, thank you for joining me.
Good to be with you, Jonathan.
John, I want to talk to you about a potential risk to the global economy that you have been outlining and fearful of here for a few weeks, for a few months, something that could really impact virtually everyone on the globe if this thing goes the wrong way. And that's what's happening in Italy as pertains to a potential banking crisis. Unpack this idea for me and maybe explain to our viewers how this could potentially impact Americans in particular.
Well, we've just watched one bank have to be resolved for, 10 billion plus euros. They basically went bankrupt. That's just the tip of the iceberg. There's in Italy 19% of the loans on the books are non-performing, and that's really understated. There's $240 billion worth of bank bonds that have been sold to mom and pop. I mean, we're small investor type people who would walk into their bank. They would complain about the low rates they're getting in their bank, and the banker would say, well, buy our bonds. That puts them, way down the list, the most junior you can get. So that any bank problem, they're going to get wiped out completely. Well, the Italians can't allow $240 billion euros, go away from just the average saver. Italians are really good at savings. They're great at a lot of things, but they're very good at saving money, and so they like to try to put it where they can get returns, and safer than their local bank. So it's going to turn out there's a lot of things safer. The problem becomes, where do you get 240 billion euros? The Italian government doesn't have it. I mean, that would be like the U.S. government saying, let's come up with $1 trillion to save U.S. savers, and then, oh, by the way, we're going to have several trillion to save the banks. They don't have that money. Well, the European Central Bank will have to print it. Well, that means the Germans have to sign on it, along with the other members of the ECB, and that means they're basically making on the backs of the Germans the Italian bank solvent. I don't know how that's going to play. It's certainly not going to play out before the German elections in September, October. So, everybody's just kind of sitting around hoping that they can kick the can down the road until they get past the German elections, and then maybe the Germans can figure out how to resolve the Italian bank problem, because there's just not enough money in the system to for Italy itself to resolve that problem without printing money. Now, Italy will end up having to put that debt on its books in the form of bonds or so forth. The ECB will have to buy that bond. So it means it's going to need a special waiver, because they're not supposed to favor one country over another. So this is huge. And by the way, if the ECB said, no, we're not going to do it, or the Germans said no, then the Italians will have no choice but to leave an overnight, take all those euros and force them into lira, and then devalue 50%, 60, 70, pick a number. It's devastating if you're an Italian, which is why money's flying out of Italy. So it's a very problematic decision, and it could end up being that Italy is actually the domino and not Greece, which, by the way, we should realize in 3 weeks, Greece is also going to have to figure out where they're going to come up with their next round of money, and they are not willing to do any more austerity, which the group of three is wanting to say, well, you've got to be even more austere so you can pay these loans off that we're going to have to loan you the money for. And they're going, no, we've had all the austerity for 5 years we can take. It's devastated our country. They've been in a depression, a full-on depression. Forget recession, full-on depression for 5 years. So I don't know how that's going to resolve itself. There's brinksmanship. I think Greece is small enough they figure out where to find the money one way or the other. But Italy may be too big to save.
Subscribe for free to John Malden's weekly newsletter, Thoughts from the Front Line, by clicking on the link in the description. Each week, you'll receive for free John's insights on what's happening in the economy, so you can make informed investment choices. Again, click on the link in the description to subscribe to John Malden's free weekly newsletter, Thoughts from the Front Line.